we say good morning and welcome. Good morning, Grenada, our sister isles of Carriacou and PT Martinique. Good morning, welcome to one and all, especially those of you who are viewing via GBN TV channel 7, whether it's channels 11 or channels 20. Good morning to all of you. Those of you via our social media platform, let me take your time also and say good morning and welcome, especially Facebook, our YouTube channel. Good morning. Those of you via our webpage, our website per se, that's gbn.gd. Good morning and welcome. It's Monday. It's the start of another work week for a vast majority of us. Most of us, I would say, start our work week per se on a Monday. Vast majority get the entire weekend off. Yeah, well, there are those who do work on a weekend. Well, mostly, a vast majority of us start our work week on a Monday. It's Glenn Tellis for the Jew. I simply go by the simple initials GT. Yeah, I could work at that. And I'll be around with you for the next hour. It's to the point for today. We're not going to have a typical open line segment today. We do have a guest who will be popping in with us, and we're certainly going to have a chit chat with him shortly. So once again, good morning. How was your weekend? Certainly hope it was a good one. We had a little bit of weather condition in the wee hours of the morning, and hope it didn't disturb anyone too much. I sort of like it when it rains a lot. Yeah, I can't take the heat, man, but I like it when it rains a lot. Yeah, I like it when the outdoors is a little bit damp and wet and stuff like that. That's my kind of day. So my day is going to be perfect. Yeah, you could probably see it on my face. I'm having a really good morning to start thus far. So welcome to The Point. It's Monday the 22nd day of August. Yeah, time is really on the move. August is moving really quick. I will certainly say that. August is moving really quick. Without any further ado, let's get set to kick it off with my guest this morning. And this morning my guest is that's Mr. Chris Edwards from the Grenada Mass Band Association. And we're going to be having a bit of a chit chat with him. Actually, he's the president of the Grenada Mass Band Association. We're talking carnival and stuff related to the Mass Band Association and everything else in between for the next hour. And we certainly will engage him shortly and getting to the conversation. For those of you who are listening to us, I want to say take your time to tune in. You probably listen up. You maybe have a question or two that you may like to ask. Yeah, something maybe I have not gotten in the question. And when I do ask some questions, I may not have gotten that in. And you would like to ask when I do propose that, you could probably chime in then. All right, or you can send your comments, of course, via our social media pages, whether it's the WhatsApp or Facebook. We certainly will welcome once your question is pertaining to the topic on hand. Let's go over and say good morning to Mr. Edwards this morning. Mr. Edwards, good morning. How are you?
I am good, thank you.
All right. Well, I would love to have a video aspect of you this morning. I'm not getting a video from you, so we could have that bit of a chit-chat. I'm not sure why.
I don't know what's going on with that. Let me see here.
I'm not getting... I'm seeing your cameras on, but somehow I'm not getting a video from you.
You're not getting a video from me. That is weird.
All right. Well, I'm not sure what's happening there, but yes, that's it there now. Yeah, I think I'm seeing your face. All right. So good morning, son. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
All right. Well, I'm doing okay myself. Well, welcome to The Point for today, Monday, the 22nd day of August, and it's after Carnival 2022.
Yes.
Well,
it's come and gone.
You know, I mean, we're going to talk about various aspects of it this morning in relating to the Grenada Mass Band Association. And you being the president of the Grenada Mass Band Association, first and foremost, before we move any further and get into the whole chit-chat about this whole thing this morning, how long has you been the president of the Mass Band Association, first and foremost?
Oh, well, there's a history behind. I actually first was the president of the Mass Band Association from 2000 up to Hurricane Ivan.
All right.
And I was always a backbencher, a member, but never take on a serious role until December when they voted me in as the president. Prior to that, October, November, they had me as a consultant.
Okay.
So I would help represent them at certain meetings, negotiate and for them prior to that. So in December of 2021 is when I was voted in with a new executive of the Mass Band Association.
So that's December of 2021 to say.
Correct.
All right, good.
Correct.
Good. Nice to know that.
Correct.
No. Let's before we get into full conversation, knowing that your status now with Dave, let's talk about Carnival 2022. How is it for you on a personal level?
Oh, Personally, I'm a carnival man.
Yeah.
I love carnival. I think anybody who knows me would wonder where I got all this energy from. I think I did everything possible. I had a visitor, so I had to be a host as well. And so yeah, I besides the organizational stuff. For me, I love mass. I love carnival. I played my mass. I did everything. And in 2 years, I told everybody I had credit built up for 2 years, and I was giving them up as the time go by through carnival. So now I'm spent. So I'm ready for 23 now.
All right. Now let's talk about the Mass Band Association. Now that we've gotten the personal side of things of you being a lover of carnival per se, you understand. You a masquerader in its own rights also. We could say that. You understand. Yes. You know masquerader yourself. We just understand from the intro when you did mention, of course, you became the actual president of the Grenada Mass Band Association as of December 2021. Now let's go to the purpose, the structure of the Grenada Mass Band Association before we move through and move on this morning.
Well, the Grenada Mass Band Association has been around since 1983, and that was formed more like a union, so at least bring all the bands together under an umbrella. So you can have better negotiating power, you can have better organization, structures in place, and we have a constitution, we have our rules, which has to be revised because when it was done in 83, we did not have an SMC. So it has taken away a lot of the things that we were doing back then. We basically represent the fancy bands who are our members and the traditional bands. We number about 16 to 20 traditional bands and about 10 fancy bands. The rule and policy was in the past that all new bands that wanted to play mass in Grenada needed to come to the Mass Band Association first to register and to be vetted and the like before you're allowed to really participate. As of 2017, that policy is no more. So a lot of the new bands that you saw this year, who were basically parading behind the Grenada Mass Band Association bands, they are not members of the Grenada Mass Band Association.
Well, I just not to cut you there, but I wanted to ask you that, but you preluded to it. So let's get into it for a wee bit. Bands wanting to be part of Spice Mass, right? You presented your costume to the public and so forth. But before all of that happened, there's supposed to be a process. Or am I right about that?
Well, yes, there's supposed to be a process, but as we say, as being the premier mass band association. For example, Missy Chrissy came up with Sailor Mass this year. She's never been really played mass. But she was encouraged by the SMC to come to the Mass Band Association and register, and she did. She joined the association. We took care of her. We gave her all the information she needed. She took part in Victoria Parade. She took part on the road. She was communicating with us, and that's one of the things that we do. However, the bands that you were speaking of, they basically just go into SMC and said we bring out a band and they register and pay their $1,000 and they bring out a band.
And that should not have really been that way perceived. You understand?
No. Because we've been talking about this since 2017 that we are not of welcoming anybody who wants to play mass in Grenada, but there needs to be a process. They need to understand that they need to follow. There should be rules and regulation. They should be vetting your business plan. Are you planning to bring money to Grenada, or are you just coming in and making your costume, making your money, and leaving? What is in it for us? None of those things I think have been really taken in consideration, because we've had bands who brought out, say they're bringing out bands en masse, and people haven't gotten costumes. They come back the next year, they change their name, and then do the same thing again, or they register to bring out a band, and then come carnival time, they realize that they don't have the infrastructure or the amount of person they expected, so they join with another band. And to me, that is just wrong on many levels. If you register to bring out a band and you cannot bring out a band, you should not be allowed to come back and say you're bringing out a band. because all you're doing is just taking advantage of a very lax policy or a lax situation. And we need, I heard the chairman finally mention that, these bands need to fall under the umbrella of the Master Association. Well, I went in, because I'm a member of the SMC board, which is an automatic thing. Usually a member of the Master Association recommends a person to represent them on the board. This is based on a chart or whatever.
Right.
So they had suggested me, and the minister accepted me. So I go in there as the premier mass person to represent mass. And that was one of the first things that the chairman had said, that he wants one Calypso Association, one Pan Association, one Mass Association. So I took that as my mandate to go back to my members and say, look, we need to welcome these bands under our umbrella. And we voted and ratified that this is something we will do. But once the plan A and plan B, and then no plans, just carnival as normal,
thing just happened.
Then that just disappeared. So, the lobbying of these bands seemed to be very powerful, and they got their way to do whatever they wanted. That's exactly what happened. And I did not get to do the job that I was put on the committee to do, which is the, organizing the mass, the parades, the Monday night mass, whatever, pertaining mass. So I was not given the opportunity to do that. I want to put that on the record right now. I was not given
I understand that. Well, let me ask you this. We have seen over the years, we have seen we've been talking about the structure per se, the purpose and structure of the mass band. So we see the disintegration of fancy mass, traditional mass per se. You may not agree with me and say that, but we see the downgrading of it in terms of the real portrayal of it when it comes to carnival in over the years. You understand? And so the real reason for that is because it's that the association, your association coming together with the Spice Mass Association does not have that real control in terms of the organization of the fancy mass and stuff like that. Would you agree with me with that?
Well, it's actually bigger than that.
Bigger than that.
I mean, the SMC's role is supposed to be what we call institutionalized development of the stakeholders, which is Mass, Pan, and Calypso. And so since 2017, and it came to a front in 2019, we had bands like Andre Garvey, Comancheros, even Helen Marie left competition and opted for being a party band, because the infrastructure and support that they were supposed to be getting from SMC, they were not. The policies, it wasn't a matter of policies, a matter of personalities that were affecting these members, and the policies that were supposed to be enacted to assist and have developed was not. Nobody's come to the Mass Band Association from SMC to ask what is going on with the Mass Band Association, why are these fancy bands dropping off and not taking part in competition. Nobody has come and asked a question of these members.
So what is the reason for that? What is the reason for that?
Because we had the infiltration of bands who are not members of the Mass Band Association. So basically, they have mass on the road. And if you have mass on the road, we have mass on the road. Forget about the indigenous fancy bands who have been doing this over 30 to 40 years, developing the product of what we have now. But forget about them, because we have these bands on the road. And this year, we have the Trinidad Experience, which is, if the CEO and the chair wanted that, then they certainly got the Trinidad Experience on the road in Spice Mass Grenada Carnival 2022. And it was sad. But at the end of the day, we are supposed to be partnering. We are supposed to be having this kind of dialogue. The chairman talked about his investment in traditional bands. He didn't invest in traditional bands. We proposed that the traditional band get $5,000 each and the fancy bands get $8,000 each as subvention this year, because we took a decision not to compete because it was so late, and for a band to compete they need to have a king and queen, and nobody was able to source this type of materials and the time to say they're building costume. So we said, let's make it a showcase of Carnival, and we said, let's do Grenadiana, a celebration of our culture. Everybody do something to depict the theme of Grenada, so that will be a really nice tourism something. We had all the bands signed in. We had the other bands waiting in the wing because I was communicating with them. And then once Minister says no regulations, no restrictions. Then that was off the table, and everybody was allowed to do whatever they want. And it was very, 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 very sad. But at the same time, we understand as an association and of our members that we need to up our game. We need to get into the 21st century when it comes to carnival, registering people to play mass and those things, allowing people to pay online and those type of things. We need to get with that. But that is where the SMC is supposed to be, at least, because we're not rich. We're not all we get is $100 from our members on an annual basis. This is the extent of our finances. We used to get a stipend or a subvention from SMC. That was cut off for whatever reason, I don't know, because we need right now. We're using one of our members' storefront as our office. That is where everybody congregates to deal with the Bandsman Association. And these are things that SMC, in their right mind, should be doing to help develop the culture. I mean, the $5,000 we gave to the regional bands. It's unfortunate that we didn't have a pageant this year, so we could have seen them all. They were beautiful and they were amazing this year. They were in their numbers because they got the money, they got it at a reasonable time, but they did not. A lot of them did not come to town because the parade was on Tuesday, and we know that usually they stay out in their parishes on Tuesday. So a few of them came down to town and they were beautiful. The display was amazing, and I saw a lot of footage because I couldn't be everywhere of the bands in the outer parishes, and for all consensus, they were wonderful.
All right.
And when it comes to our fancy bands, you notice that we were sparse. We were sparse, and we can't say it's because of the other bands. We can't blame, because at the end of the day they were allowed to bring mass. They put forth their product. It was nice and shiny and green and new and luxury and fancy trailers and people being pulled with carts and I guess everybody hearing these things wants to experience it. And at the end of the day, we cannot tell a consumer where to spend their money. However, the government gives the Bandsman Association's members a subvention, so because they understand that these members are not promoters for the most part. They are band leaders. They basically bring out mass once a year. Other than that, they have their regular jobs. Who is a seamstress, who is does their craft with the local hotels, who does whatever, who is a mechanic, who works at Hubbard's. And these people, so they're not promoters where you're doing umpteen events throughout the year, so you'll have this big set of money waiting to put out mass at the end of when it comes time for August. These are humble people. So that is why the subvention was put in, because they understand that you needed to also subsidize so the costumes won't be so costly, so that the average person can afford. And when you go to the rural the rural parishes where a lot of the traditional bands are from, which is what I've been trying to bring to SMC and its current chair and so on. And I finally hear him saying it, is that a lot of the costumes for these bands out in the outer parishes are subsidized. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the people cannot afford to pay to register to play Shotney or play Vaco.
All right.
So the bands have to then give them a free costume.
I understand.
So that is where the subvention at this year at $5,000 came in, and even that was still challenging. But think about in the past. In the past, they were getting $1,000 and $1,500. Some was getting $2,000. I don't know to the life of me how they determine who gets $15 and who gets $2,000. It just and I mean I have my opinion, but I'll keep those to myself.
All right.
But at the end of the day, how do you expect a band to improve or become larger if you keep them down?
I certainly do understand a lot where you're going in terms of the subvention and stuff like that. Let me ask this: Has the Grenada Bandsman Association ever thought about a year-round marketing campaign for Carnival every year? Let's say they decide which every or say twice a month or once a month, just if it could happen in that way, in terms of having events that could help raise the adequate funds that the association per se could use steps to help promote, the Mass Band Association per se, in terms of making Carnival better for the association? Have that kind of thought ever come to mind?
Oh,
I mean, absolutely. I know that you just being the president from December, you understand. But let's say you brought up that idea per se with the association. I mean, let's talk 2023 coming. Is that a proposed idea that could come that could help? We could say every Friday, every Saturday we could go somewhere where we could understand more about the Mass Band Association that could help to keep a momentum per se for Carnival when Carnival comes around.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, you made a very, very valid point. And I mean, as I said, it's not my first stint as being president. Mm-hmm. We in my early days, we used to have every Saturday, we used to be at the drill yard with our bar, and we used to do it in conjunction with the Steel Pan Association. We also did glitter under my watch, where we had glitter was the launch of Grenada Mass Band Association bands, and we did that for 2 years.
I remember that.
Yes. So we had been very proactive in, but we need, the money just fall from the sky. We need that. We need, the powers that be to see that, how you had it in the past, like giving us that subvention for an office, that could be then utilized as well to help us invest and do what you say, work with Calypso and Pan, because a lot of the complaints that, we only hear about us around Carnival time. Well, yes, a lot of the bands don't have that money, and the little money they may have made, they put it aside to get started in 2020 in the next year.
I understand.
So it should be something that shouldn't just be the Mass Band Association. And in past years, we've had good relationships with the other associations where we all came together and put our heads together and have these type of events. And we have no problems. I mean, for this year, we pitched Monday Wear. We say that, we know the bands are not very rich right now. They had COVID for 2 years. They may have used up their monies to live. And so that is why we proposed no competition, but they'd give us a higher subvention and even give us some appearance fees. So at least they have something. They're still on the fence about the appearance fees. But anyways, we pitched Monday Wear, which is, because we don't have pageant this year, a lot of the other bands have their body suits and whatever else. So we said, let the Mass Band Association, in conjunction with SMC, host this event. We charge each player $100. We take care of the music truck. We take care of the drinks. And then this is one way for us to raise funds. Because it's a no-brainer. We're going to make the money because the players are here. And they will want to be on the road on Monday. Except they come under the umbrella of the Monday night of the Mass Band Association. We have 1 truck, maybe 2 trucks, depends on how many people. And then we have a parade from Lagoon over to the Carnage at 2 o'clock. It finishes at 6, 7, maybe 6. And then they don't need to use those big trailers for those parades. They can be waiting for Monday Night Mass. We pitched that. Oh my word!
Anyway, stick up in there a minute. We gotta take a break. We got so much to talk about. Let's take a break and come back, because I don't know. I don't want you exhausting all the information in one segment. Let's take a break and come right back. It's To The Point for today, Monday, August the 22nd. We're coming right back after the break.
I want to control your anger. There's a way to feel better. That's one thing to remember. No matter where you are, you can be a star. Stop and take a deep breath and relax yourself. Take another deep breath and relax it. Eliminate violence.
This could be out. Brilliant catch. What a stunning catch.
The biggest party in sports, the Caribbean Premier League, is back and live on GBN television. Capture the energy, excitement, and euphoria of the beloved game. 34 matches, 6 teams, only one.
Welcome back, welcome back. It's To The Point for today, Monday, the 22nd day of August. We're speaking to Mr. Chris Edwards from the Grenada Mass Band Association. We're talking, the Mass Band Association, their participation in Spice Mass, what was supposed to happen, what didn't happen, and everything else in between, I would like to say. Because let me welcome back once again. We're back on To The Point this morning. Let me just go back a wee bit. You did speak about it a little bit earlier, but let's get into that. Let's talk about the aspect of the representation per se of the Grenada Mass Band Association on the Spice Mass Corporation's board. Tell us a bit about that.
Right. Well, as the charter have it, the three components, stakeholders, which is Mass Planning Council, needs to be represented as a full director on the board. And so I was nominated before I became president, I was nominated by the Mass Band Association to sit on the board. I offered to give them 2 years of my time because I said that I'm very passionate about Mass and the Mass Band Association. And I thought that with my experience, my past experience and my passion, and the fact that I have a relationship with all of these guys, that I should be able to do a good job representing them. Well, I went on to the committee, and it started off very well. I started contacting the non-competing, the other bands, Monday Night Mass. I started really doing the role I thought I was put on there to do as a mass expert. But it deteriorated to the point where I basically was relegated, not only me and all the other members, relegated to basically just being standbys, bystanders on the committee. I mean, on the entire month of July, we had no meetings as a board that's supposed to be staging Carnival in August. All of July, no meetings. All of August, no meetings. I mean, I had to be clobbering for information on CCF, clobbering for information on the routes, emails, letters, phone calls, WhatsApp, just to get to know what is going on, because there was nothing really being told. So we don't know. I don't know who was running, who this committee was, but it certainly wasn't myself and a lot of the other members. We had members on there who were experts in communications, and they were never consulted on communications. I mean, it was as we coined it. It was the chairman and the CEO's events, and we were just bystanders. I did not become an expert, by the way, of Mass until Carnival Saturday. That's when the police, with their infinite wisdom, realized that they had 17 bands, and how are these trailers going onto the Carnage? And I was called, boss, the commissioner needs to have a meeting. We need to understand how we're dealing with these trucks. And yes, and then I was all of a sudden called by the chair, the expert in Mass, to which one of our executive members had to ask him if I had just became an expert. I wasn't the expert before. So needless to say, for Carnival Saturday and Carnival Sunday is when the route was confirmed and the placement of the bands along those routes were confirmed.
Wow.
For the police. So I have to commend the police, considering they got this late notice, that they still did a fantastic job considering. And I've been there the whole time, not allowed to do something that I did in 2 days. You understand? I have to coin it as one of the worst experiences I've ever had on a board, where I am trying to volunteer and give back. It's not that I'm doing it for the money, because $300 a meeting is no money, but I am there because I love my culture, I love Mass, and I really and truly think that the Mass Band Association has had poor representation over the past years, and I've gone in there trying to effect change. I'm trying to do the work to effect change, not to sit back and say I'm a director and enjoy the spoils. I planned not to play Mass for 2 years while I was there, but I played Mass this year because I was not utilized. I had nothing to do.
Yeah,
so I said, I'm not going to.
You got to find something. You got to find something to do, right?
I'm going to ruin my Mass, my Carnival. I joined my time, but I became the expert then. And I mean, I shiver to think if I didn't do what I did. I would say because I mean, I'm not trying to stop my show. I'm talking facts. if I did not do what I did, if I went to even start the parades. That was not so. That was not something I was told. I was afraid that if I show up and I start talking, someone might come and tell me, "Who are you?" But no, I'm responsible for mass. I need to see my people go. I did the same thing for CCF. I escort them into the stadium, the bands, and then I left. I did the same thing for Monday. I make sure I'm early, make sure the bands leave. And one of the things that people haven't taken into consideration, this year Tuesday parade started at 1. That's never happened before.
Oh, man.
And I still said it's late. Hello. We always said it's starting at 1 and we leave at 3 and 4.
Yeah.
This year we said we start at 11 and it's no fault of ours. We just had some traffic issues. There was some miscommunication with the traffic. And that's why we started at 1. Or we could have started at 12:30 even before. Okay. And the traditional bands were there and the fancy Grenada Mazda bands were there ready to go. We just had a little issue with the traffic. So I made sure, regardless of what, that I did my part to make sure that the bands go off and that I was not involved in Juve. I was not involved in Monday Night Mass.
All right.
I just make sure because they're not members of the Mazda Association.
So you were actually just sharing some of the experiences you had for 2022 there. That was just a little capsule that you just stop into in terms of you being called in at the last moment to offer your expert advice, if I could use a good word there, in terms of getting things started. You were left out in the initial stages of things, which could have taken care of weeks before Carnival, so people could have had all folks who were in charge of stuff would have known what to do, the do's and the don'ts, and get things rolling properly. What are some of the other experiences that you have gone through for this year that you think is worthy to be spoken about?
Well, I just feel I'm not sure. I'm not a board person. I don't sit on boards. I sat on, I think this is my second one. As far as I know, you're supposed to be part of the decision making. Mm-hmm. And when controversial things happen, you are supposed to be put in the loop and you're supposed to be able to voice an opinion. We knew nothing was discussed regarding Boise. People were charged $45 at the gate in Progress Park and they're in the front enjoying the show. And thank God people didn't know I was a member of the board and they were just cussing and getting on that why it's going from $25 to $45. I think there was an insensitivity knowing that we just came out of COVID and then we also had so much events outside of Spice Mass events that I don't know where all this money, people are supposed to get all this money to go to then pay to go to the Spice Mass event. You're just asking too much of our pockets. And these at the door prices was, Soca Monarch $100. I guess I missed that meeting, and $120 at the door because I would not pay $100 at this day, and I could not afford to pay $100 this day and age to go to as much as I love Soca Monarch. And I said so that a lot of decisions occurred that we as members were not aware of. So I can't speak for the other members. I'm not sure if they were having backroom discussions and I was not involved, but I can only speak for myself and a few of the other directors who I'm in contact with who did not. We did not. We were asking, even now asking for a postmortem. When we having a postmortem.
Let me also chime in on you and ask you this. Now that you say that a majority of the conversations or the meetings will say that you were not able to attend or you were not notified that they were having meetings. Let's just maybe put it as that. Could that have led to the way that the whole breakdown in the process of Carnival has been, in terms of there was not that coming together of the minds per se to make those decisions that could have helped make Carnival 2022 better?
Well, to answer that question, I would put on my salesman hat. I've been a sales manager for most of my life. And we have this word called team. Together we all achieve more. Together we achieve more. This is what is supposed to happen. Carnival is a huge event. And no 3 persons in the SMC office, the C and his two assistants, could say that they can take on the whole operation of Spice Mass. The chairman, as much as he experienced and he's a carnival lover and he's a cultural man, he he alone cannot do the work of staging carnival. You need the team. That's why there's a board there. That's why you're supposed to have subcommittees who then would take on the task of doing what they need to do and report back and blah, blah, blah. None of these things happen. So, of course, there was a breakdown. I mean, I know Slum personally, and I mean, I play jazz. And Slum I would consider him a friend, and I know he's a hardworking guy, and he sacrificed so much for the culture and for the jazz movement. But is he being spoken to? No. They brought a new person come in, and that is the new thing. We always like new shiny objects that that just appear and not show appreciation for what we have. And that is a core problem that we have culturally in Grenada on a big picture. But you're absolutely correct. If we had, I don't even know if we had logistics. I don't even know if there was a logistics department, because I know I got a call on Saturday asking for marshals. Well, I pretend I did not see that message, because this is Carnival Saturday. But I still asked one of our members, executive members, I know she's not playing mass, to volunteer. I mean, Saturday you're asking for marshal. It's safe, and I'm not being facetious, I'm not being evil or mean to say there was not a plan in place for any of those parading events. I mean, Monday night mass, I played. I'm in Waggy, and I'm all the way down at Silver Sands. I mean, the last band is supposed to be at the post office, and everything else is in front. So that way you'll have mass on Lagoon Road, 9, 10 o'clock. You already have bands on the road. I don't know who sent these bands, and there was 2 bands behind Waggy. Oh, I don't know. And then the band's crawling. Like, I mean, I have energy, but at one point I had to leave, because I was all day I was going, but I wanted to have my friend have the whole carnival experience. But it was just, again, no marshalling, and that is something that Spice Mass under, supposed to have in place. I mean, we talk about, look at the streets. Everybody's calling me and saying, well, what happened to the streets? I don't know. Why wasn't the streets clean? These are things that are basic things that are supposed to happen. So when the chairman is talking about Carnival being a massive success, and the journalist asked him, is it the fact that we just staged Carnival that we consider a massive success? I think his yardstick for massive success is different to mine, because it was disorganized, it was dysfunctional, and I mean, yes, we had Carnival, but it's not something that we can say that we can be proud of, and people will say, oh wow, we had a massive success of a Carnival. You cannot say you have a massive success with all the things I've just outlined. So, and that's one of the reasons why I needed to come out and speak on behalf of the mass band, not on SMC, because my role and my position is president of the Mass Band Association, and that's what I constantly tell them on the board. I wasn't appointed to the board by the minister because I ran a multi-million-dollar company for a lot of years of my life. I was appointed to the board because the Mass Band Association recommended me. So my first priority is to represent the Mass Band Association. And I tried to do that, and I mean, it was confrontational, it was disrespectful, it was bullying, it was not the experience that you want to experience when you are volunteering your time and for $300 a meeting. Okay? I mean, I can't put it any realer than that.
All right.
I have a passion, the people needed representation, and I'm there to do it. And all I need was to give them the opportunity, based on my experience and the fact that I'm there, to at least listen to me, debate what I'm saying. Don't just drop it because it's not part of your narrative. And look what happened. If a lot of the things that we had spoke of or we had proposed were even enacted, then we would have been in a totally different place.
It could have been being that, we didn't have Carnival for the last 2 years. Carnival 2022 supposed to have been a very memorable carnival. Would you agree with me with that? It should have been.
It was the return.
It was the return. It should have been one of those carnivals that would have encouraged, the visitors to want to come back in 2023. I'm speaking to a lot of folks who tell me they're not sure. I'm sure you may have gotten that feedback also. Folks, I'm not sure for 2023 because of the discouragement, if you use of a word there, that they received in 2022. There was not a lot of encouraging things for 2023. 2022 for Carnival?
I will have to. I have to interject here. I mean, I would not say that 2022 is the norm or typical, and I would not dissuade anybody from not coming back here in 2022.
Well, it's not that I was dissuading anyone. I would just say that was just some of the feedback I was getting.
It cannot be the same. It will not be the same. Period. And I mean, it cannot. I mean, and as I always say, Carnival is not difficult to run. All it's about is making sure the logistics is in place, because the people are coming with the art. You have the soca artists coming with their song, you have the pan people coming with their pan, you have the mass people coming with their mass. What you need SMC to do, have the logistics in place so those people can showcase their craft. That's it.
Simple.
It's not rocket science.
Right.
It isn't. And people's egos and people's whatever needs to be left out. You need to come in there, as one of my exec members said yesterday, and I have to shout out. She said, tell the powers that be to put people on these committees who not only talk culture, but live it, understand it, have a passion for it, to be on these committees. Because if that was the case, then it wouldn't have these people who are so egomaniacal and want to get stroke. I want to be in the forefront and get press and be famous. It has nothing to do with that. I already know we are there because we love the thing and we want to see it succeed. We want to see it move from strength to strength. We want people to leave here with a good taste in their mouth and want to tell everybody about it. I had a friend who refused. He had 6 friends refused to come to Grenada because they moved pre-show. Because to him, all those good final things supposed to be in the last week. So he did not. He canceled his ticket with his 6 friends because of that one thing. Yes, we heard it. We said yes. They want the Queen to read, the Queen to reign. Where did the Queen reign? Did we see the Queen? Where were the Queens? Where were the Queens, the first and second runner-up? Were they on the road? Did we see them? Were they on a truck waving at us? Where were they? How were they reigning? So how could you say that you want to move it up a week earlier and then you want them to reign and people don't even see? The Queen is playing mass in her band and the runners-up are playing mass in their band. So where's the reigning? This is let's be real about the whole. It's nice to talk these shiny things, but when you have to be practical about it. The last week of Carnival should host all the fun, because that's when some people come in. They're coming for that week into Wednesday.
Yes.
And so we should give them all the best products that we have. Queen Show was very successful. It sold out the week earlier, which is really good considering where it came from. But at the same time, it is a major event of Carnival. And it should, in hindsight, stay on the final week of Carnival. Now, I actually have to say I enjoyed Progress Park this year, because I haven't actually been in the past, because I've been in mass camp making costumes. But this year, I said, no, I'm on the committee. I'm going to enjoy and take everything in. And I went to tents. I went to Scholars Tent. I enjoyed that. I went to the semifinals. I went to the finals. I enjoyed Calypso tremendously this year because I got the opportunity to play. And yes, it was good in Progress Park. Right. Now, could it be good on a Thursday or in town? I don't know. At the end of the day, the people on that side love Calypso and they are supported, and so the decision made sense to get people. But I didn't enjoy getting up to go to the White at 2 o'clock in the morning because I wanted to stay out one time for Jubilee. Because I know if I went back home, I wouldn't get up. So
I understand. Let me ask you this. I mean, know that we have spoken a lot about a vast majority of the negatives, and there was some positives in Carnival 2022. Now, the Grenada Mass Band Association. What is the way forward you would like to see for Carnival 2023? What are some of the proposals that you would like to come up with or present in the future when a postmortem is finally done? And for someone to me, never use the word postmortem because it's all talk about things that are dead. Understand? But when that final thing is done about what Carnival 2022, whatever it is to be spoken about, and we're looking for 2023 to come. What are some of the proposals you think the Mass Band Association would like to present in terms of making Carnival per se? The planning, the logistics, everything that could have made the running, especially for the mass bands, the traditional part of it, the fancy mass, everything. What are some of the proposals that you would like to present or say no that you think someone would have a listening ear and bring forward for 2023?
Well, from the launch, the mood should be set for Carnival. The launch should not be about one component of mass. The launch should be about all the components of mass. And if you looked at even the flyer for the launch of Carnival, it was all about soca and calypso artists. You had a mass face of a shot and a mass face of a jab on the flyer. That is not indicative for one. So that the tone has to be set there. Now, the mass band can propose all at once. I mean, again, it's up to the powers that be. It all depends on what kind of carnival they want. Do you want to have the Trini experience in Grenada? Then we can do that just the same, because we have shown that we could, and we are willing to do it again. Do you want to have pageants? Do you want to have a parade of the bands with big costumes, the king and queens and individuals? Do you want to see mass just go to people who can afford to pay mass, pay $1,200 US or whatever US, and this person in the village who cannot afford that money just stay on the side and watch the affluent people play mass? It all depends on what the powers that be wants to see. For Spice Mass, do we want an indigenous, unique Grenadan experience? This is what I thought. The Trinis I've known who come to Grenada Carnival, they came here for the uniqueness of Grenada's Carnival. They didn't want to see Trinidad Carnival in Grenada, but that's exactly what we got this year. I mean, again, it all depends on the powers that be. We met yesterday as an exec, and we said, this is what we're going to propose. Now, we need to know, what do you want from us? What kind of a mass implant do you want going forward for your carnival? If you don't want us to follow your rules, or you don't want to have pageants, you want to have these kind of elaborate costumes, then tell us. We too could leave and go as everybody else and make embellish a bikini or a bathing suit and call it a costume and sell it for $1,200. That's easily done. Anybody can do that. So it's up to the powers that be to decide what type of carnival they want and what type of investment they're willing to make. Because at the end of the day, it's, these promoters will come in and do mass. Grenada is a new shiny object on the hill right now. What if it's Tobago next time? And they decide to pull out of Grenada because, oh well, whatever. Tobago is hotter, it's more profitable. So what happens? You have to
become a loss for us.
You have to appreciate what you have, and you have to, which is what the SMC's mandate is, to develop, institutionalize development of what we have. And part of that is investing not only in traditional, but also in fancy, in pan, in calypso. I mean, one of the things that has been out there for the representative of calypso, that he's taken some licks because he didn't, because of what happened with the soca artists. And I have to say, on his defense, that in all the meetings I've attended, he was never asked about the soca artists. He was never asked what's happening with soca. He represented calypso. And so I think to now put him under the bus and say that, he has to take some blame for the soca artists, it's unfair, because at that level, he was never solicited any information on soca artists, because the soca artists, like the other bands, were always represented and went directly to SMC. So they have to take the responsibility for whatever happened with the soca artists, and with whatever happened with these other bands who were selling packages on the road on Tuesday, which is people were playing fancy mass in t-shirts and shorts. I mean, fancy mass Tuesday is that. The only people who will be in t-shirt are the marshals, SMC marshals, or the marshals for the band. Not a mass playing person. That's because then you're just diluting the whole product. We have Monday where you can wear your t-shirt and your shorts. Tuesday, you need to be in a costume. Whatever you consider a costume is not a sofa shorts and a vest or a t-shirt. So these are all things that need to be educated and articulated to all the bands. And that is why you have a mass band association. And that is why all the bands should follow under that brand, whether they're competing or not competing. I mean, Bobby and Summer Crew has been non-competing party band for years, and they still remain a member of the Master Association because he knows what his product is, and he knows that he don't have the time to say he's making costumes in Grenada, and that is what the whole thing with the Master Association members. We construct our costumes in Grenada. We bring in the materials, and the costumes are made here. The other bands who don't compete, they basically buy their costumes and bring it here, and yet they get 100% concession on everything. All those trailer trucks, all the speakers, all the carts that was pulled, all that they got 100% concession of. So naturally, and they have the wheel, the well-oiled wheel of the Trinidad machinery. So it was a very uneven field for our members to compete against. But at the end of the day, competition is what it is. So we just have to step up our game to make sure that we bring back our players to us. Because to me, if I play mass, I will always play mass with Andre Garvey, an associate, or Helen Marie, because these are where my family is. When I go and play there, I see people I haven't seen in a year. I haven't seen people in years. We come back and we fellowship, and we have our luxury on the road. We don't need to be told we have luxury. We have it on the road. Once I put on my costume, I am luxurious.
All right.
And I play my mass.
All right, Chris, let me take another break. We do have about 10 more minutes left on the show this morning. Let's take that break, and when we come back, we come with some final thoughts, of course, about Greater Mass Players Association and how it moves forward for 2023, and anything else we could chip in between that could of course, help to make Spice Mass 2023 better. We're coming right back. Hey, folks, we're coming right back.
This could be out. Brilliant catch. What a stunning catch.
The biggest party in sports, the Caribbean Premier League, is back and live on GBN television. Capture the energy, excitement, and euphoria of the beloved game. 34 matches, 6 teams, only one to be crowned champion. The action starts August 31st and runs until September 30th. Live on GBN television at K105.5 and 105.9. It's no carnival, but you will enjoy the mass.
And you're kidding me! You are kidding me! Alzari chose.
Welcome back in the final segment of To The Point for today, Monday, the 22nd today of August. Just around 7 minutes or so left before we take a wrap for this morning's program. We're talking to Mr. Chris Edwards this morning. He's the president of the Grenada Mass Band Association, and we've been chatting for a wee bit this morning, and Chris certainly had a whole lot to say this morning in terms of of Carnival, the Mass Band, and what the disappointments per se. That was, I mean, the key talk this morning that happened. He did talk about some good aspects of things that happened also. But yes. I want to ask you something before we wrap this morning. I want to ask you, do you think, because of this particular dilemma that happened in 2022, and in terms of, especially with the foreign inputs that we have so much in Carnival these days, do you think that has caused a loss of what we call the real Grenadian Carnival? Do you think that has brought about a loss of what we call the real Grenadian Carnival in Grenada for us in terms of moving forward? Do you think Grenada Carnival has lost its drive, its gist per se?
Well, it's on the verge, actually. I think after this year, we have to take a long, hard look at what the product we have. We have to relook at Juve. We have to encourage the Juve bands to come back out. The red, the yellow mask, the green mask, the green, they call it UFOs and all that. I'm not even sure if they were out this year. I all I saw was Slum and his nice truck, and I think I saw Bobby. I really didn't see anybody else, and it was a mass amount of people, and it was just disorganized chaos, really. And that is not what Juve is really supposed to be. So it's almost like it was not given the attention it's supposed. So you have to have probably a subcommittee to deal with Juve, like you have to have a subcommittee to deal with the mass aspect, the parade, and so on. You know, you cannot.
Wasn't these things available before? Wasn't this to be available before? It was never available.
In past, yes, they were, but I mean, I can tell you, as a mass representative, I was on no committee dealing with mass, so I can only speak for myself, and based on the chaos that happened, clearly, you know, there was no the logistic for the spice mass, the parade, so was not in place. I mean, you had the onus was on, of course, having a Soca Monarch and the build up, but then there always mass, which is the biggest part of the whole thing. I'm talking from since Monday, Juve, all the way to Tuesday. It is the climax, and this is what people leave with. When those sexy girls come from New York or Canada or wherever, yes, they're going to enjoy the soca and so on, but it's to put on their sexy costume and go on the road and go into the jab and put on their helmet and enjoy that unique Grenadian experience. Right. So we have to make sure that we build those things and make sure that people leave and they can talk crazy about it. And I mean, yeah, this year was an unusual year. It is not a regular year, and I just think that if the committee was allowed to do its job, and if anybody wants to differ, any community member, I think I'm the only one outside of the chairman that has spoken. But if they think I'm speaking mistruth, they can come and tell me. But I'm talking my truth, and I have nothing to gain by maligning or disparaging the truth. I'm talking about my experience. And if I know that I'm OCD when it comes to organizing things, I have a party at my house and I am crazy. If I'm involved in anything, I know that this would not have happened, but I was not given the opportunity, like others, to do the job we were brought on.
All right, we're going to take a couple of calls because the phone has been very busy all morning, and I've been my apology for the folks, but I've been neglecting to take those calls. I guess folks may want to ask you a thing or two in terms of what you've been saying. So let's take our very first caller this morning. Caller, good morning. How are you? Caller, good morning.
Good morning. It's sad to hear all these things happening after Carnival. When I was involved in Carnival, that didn't happen. We had a subcommittee that dealt with everything. As a matter of fact, I started Calypso 75 on time, every time at 5 p.m. at the Sea Moon Cultural Center. On time, every time, for 10 consecutive years. Started Juve on time as Juve chairman. Yeah, and Juve was organized. There's a subcommittee for everything as far as I know. And there was a template and it was down there. So I am so shocked to hear all these revelations now and one person. And the thing is that what I can't understand, you understand, that people who were there before are letting all these things go down the drain. I think Chris could have come out long before now and said at least what is happening. Because the horse has bolted and Chris said that we're losing. I think we have lost. We have seen a carnival as not a carnival. Our Juve, it was a planned Juve. And as I said, before the carnival started, before the parade of the band, people said dip for the positions and you know where you're locking in. Where you're locked in at Foodland, you're locked in at Brighton and Miners. So you know where every band knows. Every band, this way to meet my band. The problem with the trailers again too, what I'm saying, most of the trailers I see this year, TAB, whatever it is, 684 from whatever it is, that's not a great license plate. They were too long for our, this is not Frederick Street or Charlotte Street or whatever it is that we went to. It's too long for our roads that we went to. And the area that the parade is. So we need a postmortem of Spice Mass 2022. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, dear caller, in terms of your contribution. The caller actually said a whole lot, so there's not much we could decipher in terms of what he said. Did said a whole lot. Seemed like he was just just making a kind of synopsis of what you said, Chris, in terms of everything. Let's just take another caller before we wrap. Good morning, caller. How are you?
Hello.
Yes, caller. Good morning. Go ahead with your contribution, please. That caller probably has a problem with their phone of the sort. So, Chris, we getting to the end. It's already 10 o'clock this morning. It's already 10, and I mean, this conversation can go on. There's so much more that we could talk about, but we're trying to keep it on the Mass Band Association, but we could talk about so much things pertaining to Grenada's Carnival for 2022. I mean, there's so much things that could be spoken about, and I'm going to give this caller this final chance to get it and see what he has before we take a final wrap. Caller, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Top of the morning, Christopher.
Yes, go ahead with your contribution.
I'm just calling to say that Mr. Chris don't have to be devil advocate. He don't have to sing for his supper. Because to me, every one of them was on the board. Every one of them know what they had to do. So Mr. Chris should have done the right thing in the first place. Mr. Chris wasn't at every activity. He attended every board meeting to my knowing. And he don't have to be devil's advocate. Not because he's singing for his supper, because the minister talked about certain things in Carnival that didn't go right. He have to come on and explain, and he's lying. Have a good day.
All right, I'm not sure what the caller is alluding to, Chris, in terms of any intro that you were saying.
Whatever. I speak my truth, and I guess she's in my head to know that what is my truth and what is not.
All right.
But thank her for her contribution. Everybody has their opinion.
Yes.
I have to make a disclaimer before I go. I was rebuked. I misspoke and said that Helen Marie did not take part in. She did not compete or did not take part or whatever in 2019. That was a misspoke on my part. So Helen, I apologize for.
I guess you will be forgiven. Don't worry about that. Hey Chris, I want to thank you for popping in this morning. I'm not sure if there's any closing comments you'd like to give. In terms of the way forward for of course the Mass Band Association, which should be our main topic on the agenda this morning. We did speak about that. Of course, we did divert it to other aspects of it. But anyway, what's the way forward for the Mass Band Association, especially for 2023, as we move forward and before we make our close of the program this morning?
Well, the Mass Band Association has always been there supporting the Carnival effort, and we will continue to say. I mean, these people have been involved in mass over 30, 40 years. So I will call them stalwart. And my job is to represent them. And that is what I've been trying to do. Now, I'm not, as I said, I am not here to talk anybody else's truth. I can only talk about my experience for Carnival 2022 and that of my members who, if anybody does not believe me, call them up. Go to the village and talk to Hermitage Shortly. Go and talk to Andre Garvey. Go and talk to Common Shares or any of the other bands and see exactly the kind of experience we've had and the kind of work that I've had to do behind the scenes to try to get things right for them. Carnival is not about one person. It's not about me. I am just but one person on the team who is supposed to be doing whatever we need to do to make sure we have a successful Carnival. And in my opinion, that did not happen this year.
All right. Chris, I want to thank you once again. I hope we can have another conversation maybe in the months leading up to Carnival 2023 when we get more of what in terms of some of the ideas you thrown out, some of the ideas that I've thrown out that you would say, hey, this is going to be happening for 2023. This is the Grenada Mass Band Association point of view and things that we want to do to help to just bring about that constant information per se thrown out to the public out there, letting them know this is what's going to be happening for Carnival, especially from the Mass Band point of view as we move forward.
Stay tuned. We will be very proactive going forward. We have a young dynamic crew and we will be very proactive.
All right. Chris, thank you once again for being on to the point this morning. It's a blessing, man. Take it easy. All right. Hey, folks, this is K105 and GBN TV. This is where we say goodbye for To The Point for today. Join us again tomorrow when we have another edition for you. Have a blessed day.